In this lecture, we will be looking at the topic of passing by reference in functions, because so far all the parameters that we have seen in functions have been passed by value. For example, this n here, or this x, which we are passing to by value to the square root of function. That means that the expression used in the function call is evaluated first, and then the resultant value is assigned to the corresponding parameter in the function's parameter list before the function starts executing. So let's say if I have an expression, for example 2 into n for plus 6, for example, so this expression is going to be evaluated first, and it will yield a single value, and that will be passed to the function's parameter list. So that means that, for example, in this function, let's say if we call this function here, if we call this function, and this value, this argument n typed in by the user has the value of 4, then value of 4 is passed is passed to the local variable x here before the function begins to execute whatever is inside the function's body. Since the value 4 is used only locally inside the function, the variable n is unaffected by the function. So I mean, whatever is here is simply not affected not affected by whatever is happening over here. So this variable n, you can say that it's some kind of a read-only parameter. I mean, the function can only read it, but it cannot change the value, because this value is actually assigned, whatever value we are passed over here, this value is assigned to this variable, and it's a local variable x. So this mechanism, which we call pass by value mechanism, it allows for the general expressions to be used in place of an argument in the function call, like we are calling the function here. For example, I mean, I could have written, like, for example, 2 into n plus 5, so, or 2 into some other function as well, a square root of n and plus 5 or something like that. We can have to n minus some other whatever thing, any expression I want. So in any of these cases, the expression within the parentheses or the round brackets is evaluated to a single value, and then that value is passed to the function. So this read-only pass by value method, because this expression evaluates to a single value, we are just passing the value, and that value is simply unaffected by whatever is happening inside the function. So I mean, this read-only or pass by value method of communication is usually the preferred way to communicate with the functions, because the functions are more self-contained. I mean, whatever is happening here is not affecting whatever is happening in the main function, and it protects against the some unwanted or accidental side effects, I mean, such as the function inadvertently changing the values of some other variables, as long as, I mean, some other variables which doesn't belong to it. So usually that's a preferred method to communicate with the functions. However, there are some scenarios or some situations in which a function needs to change the value of the parameter passed to it, because I mean, I'm going to explain that in about few moments, that the function can only return one value. Whatever function, let's say, it just can return just only one value. What if you want to return more than one value? Functions did not have the facility to do that. But if you are passing the values by reference, there is a kind of a bypass method to return more than one value. I'm going to explain that in a moment. So in some scenarios, there could be a requirement that the function needs to change the value of the parameter passed to it, and that can be done using by passing the value by passing the parameter by its reference, or behind the scene by its address. To pass a parameter by reference instead of by value, we simply append the ampersand sign. This is the reference parameter to the type specifier in the function's parameter list. Here, I mean, I could have written like something like this, or like this, or like this. I mean, it's just a personal preference, as long as I'm using the reference operator, the ampersand sign this makes the local variable, this local variable, a reference to the argument passed to it. So the argument is now not read only, it will become read write. It will become read write instead of read only argument. Then any change to the local variable, any change here in the local variable inside the function will cause the same change to the argument that was passed to it. So now the thing to remember is that the parameters that are passed by value are known as value parameters, such as here the value of n and this expression, it is just a value parameter, and the parameters that are passed by reference are called the reference parameter. So taking a look at a simple swap function here, that this swap function is its purpose of this function is to interchange the two objects that are passed to it. So the value of x is assigned to the value of y, and the value of y is assigned to the value of x. This is accomplished by declaring the parameters x and y as reference variables. So these are reference variables because we are using the reference operator, and the reference operator makes this x and y synonyms for the arguments passed to the function. This is the function prototype, and this is the function definition. So it's really simple. The value of x is assigned to temp, the value of y is assigned to x, and the value which was stored in temp is now assigned to y. So here is the here's the main function which tests the swap function. Running this code first, so let's say a equals to 22.2, b equals to 44.4, then a equals to 44.4, and b equals to 22.2. So what really happened behind the scene is that when the this call swap ab executes, the function creates the local references x and y. So that x is the function's local name for a, and y is the function's local name for b. Okay, so synonyms, we need to remember the synonyms. Then the function's three statements which are given here, they execute. The local variable temp is declared and initialized with the value of x, which is actually behind the scene a, and then x, which is a, is assigned to the value of the value of y. The value of y, which is actually b, is assigned to x, and then y, which is b, is assigned the value of temp. So a, the final value of a would be now 44.4, and b ends up with the value of 22.2. So this thing, originally the value of a was 22.2 and value of b of 44.4, and we called the swap function to swap the swap function temporarily stored the value of 22.2 and then swap the values of a and b, which actually belong to the main function. They were not the local variables, but it creates the local names for a and b. This example shows the difference between passing by value and passing by reference. So this is just a function prototype. The function definition is given here. I could have written the function definition above the main function, but we have explained that why we do that. Okay, so let's take a look that this function is just demonstrates the passing by value and passing by reference. So first let's run this code, and it says that let me put it here, that a equals to 22, b equals to 44. Then in the next line, see how it says a equals to 22, b equals to 99, and it says a equals to 22 and b equals to 99. So this function call FAB, this function call passes a, the value of a is 22 and the value of b is 44. This function call AB passes a by value to x, and it passes b by reference to y. Okay, so a is assigned to x by value and b is passed by reference to y. So x is a local variable that is assigned the a's value of 22, while y is an alias for the variable b. Alias means false identity, or alias, I mean kind of a nickname, you can say that, or synonym for the variable b whose value is 44. Now let's take a look at the function. That the function assigns 88 to x, but it has no effect on a. The reason is because a is the local variable, sorry, x is the local variable of this function. It has no effect on it. But when it assigns the value of 99 to y, it is actually assigning the value of 99 to b, because b was passed by reference. Okay, so because y is an alias for b, so when the function terminates, a is still, let's get it, a still has the value of 22, while b has the new value of 99. The argument a is read only, I mean no matter how you call it, while the argument b is now read write. Drawing a figure here with the notepad. Here the function, the value of x was 22, and I mean the value of a and b were 22 and 44. We pass those values, this was passed by value and this was passed by reference, and in the function the value of x was updated to 88, but it had no effect on the variable a in the main function. But the variable y was updated to 99, and it had an effect because it was passed by reference. So it just to summarize, we have written simple comparison between passing by value and passing by reference. Integer x is passing by value, integer ampersand x passing by reference. I mean you could have multiple types such as float, double, character, and so on and so forth, as long as we are writing the ampersand or the reference operator. Here the parameter x is a local variable, this parameter x is a local reference, and this is a duplicate of the argument, and this is a synonym for the argument. It creates another copy, and here it's actually the synonym is referring to the same thing from the main function or wherever the function is called. It cannot change the argument. It can change the argument when we are passing by reference. The argument passed by the value may be constant variable or an expression that will just be evaluated to a single expression value. The argument passed by reference must be a variable, because behind the scene we are passing the address in the memory. This argument is read only, and here passing by reference this argument is read write. And common situation where a common situation is where the reference parameters are needed, or passing by reference is needed, is where the function has to return more than one value, because by definition function can only return one value directly with the return statement. So we just declare the type of whatever is returning. Here this function is not even returning anything, we are just writing void here. But if you want to return more than one value, we can use the passing by reference method. So if more than one value must be returned, reference parameters can do the job. So here in this code we are computing the area as well as the circumference, and it's taking the radius r, circumference is 2 pi r, and the area is pi r square. So we have written there, and we have also defined a constant double pi. I mean double is a type obviously, so we have defined the pi like that. And so let's first run this code, and it says, I mean let's enter radius, for example. If I it says enter radius. If I press 100, it says the area is 314 and the circumference is 628. So in this example I'm passing the value which I mean these R, A, and C. I mean this A, I'm passing the value, I'm passing it by reference to area. So whatever area is being computed, I'm actually computing the value of A here, and the value of C is also passed by reference. So whatever circumference is being computed, I'm actually updating the value of C, and the value of R is just passed by value. So this thing, I mean, if I'm updating these area and circumference, I'm actually updating the value of A and C here. So these parameters, area and circumference, are listed first in the parameter list to the left of the input parameter R. This is kind of a standard C style, because usually when we write, for example, when we say y equals to x, it's just a comment here, because this is just an assignment operation where the information, the value flows from the read-only variable x on the right to the read-write variable y on the left. So it's just kind of a convention. If it's not necessary, you want to follow that. But whenever we want to update more than one value, or whether we want to return more than one value, we can use the passing by reference method.